On today's episode of Growing Pains, we're joined with Yazmin Helledie, a Maltese personality which I'm sure you all know. A few months ago, Yaz unfortunately experienced a miscarriage after being pregnant for 3 months. And today, she'll be telling us a bit more about her experience. Check it out. Hello, Yaz. It's
Hi.
nice having you here. We're used to seeing you on Love Island, usually on our television.
Well, came to visit you a bit.
You came to visit a bit, and not anymore as well. It's Love Island
No.
from season 3. How's
My
that
last season
been?
last year. It was amazing and it was great to be part of it from the start. And I feel like I was very involved in the making of it as well from the beginning. I'm a huge Love Island fan, so I felt like I could really give my my input on these things, you know, when
must
it,
have
even
been
when
so
it came
fun, yeah.
to the show and things that happen away. I used to work as a story producer as well with them, so I used to work also behind the scenes in the
It must have
control
taken a
room.
lot of your time since you were a story producer and the host.
Yes, but the team were very understanding that I also have my other work
Nice,
commitments,
that's
so they
good.
were very adaptive in that sense, you know what I
What
mean?
was your
but it's
favorite
it's on your mind 24/7
Yes,
because
so
it's happening
shmushek,
every day. So
kushek.
you literally live in a bubble for those 6 weeks and even before when you're preparing for it. And you're working on other things, but your mind is really at the
It's
villa.
always in the background, like.
Exact.
What was your favorite part? Since you were involved on like many different scales, what was your favorite part of working with Love Island?
Lalu, this is very hard actually because each part has its own nice part of it, kind of.
Okay.
Being behind the scenes is nice because you're there, you're seeing it live, you're watching the drama unfold right before your eyes. And if I have a shift of 4 hours, I'll stay there for 7.
Astar ma dejjem naħseb for
Għax nkunu
hours.
rrid nifqajem, you know,
Mingħajr
because
overtime.
watching it actually live. And then hosting, I mean, is a totally different ball game. Ġifieri that excitement of right before when you're literally getting ready, they don't know that you're coming in, you're staying quiet outside, and then
When
you
you
walk
affect
in, and then they see you,
butterflies.
and they're not sure what's happening until they kind of got the gist that when I come in, something kind of bad is going to happen, or someone's going to go home, or someone's going to come in. So that was a totally different mandu xjaqsam kind of job. The live final is also a totally different thing to the villa entrances, I feel, because one, it's live.
Yeah.
Lots of more people are watching
You killed it. I was there for
Ħafna.
last season's final and you killed it. You were on it.
Thank
Bdejt
you.
narak, I was like,
Inkun ħammuta, ma, that live
Mux
final
ovvja, imma
it's not for the faint
a lot of pressure. Mux ovvja, so
And
many
you
people are
also don't know
watching.
what's going to happen. So when we used to go in for into the villa, I kind of knew what was going to happen. Okay, not what people are going to pick or who's going to leave. So I knew if I'm going to bring someone in, I know what's going to happen. فهمتي? So there's more control. In the final, you have no clue. You don't know who people are going to vote for. You don't know who's going to win, who's going to come second, what they're going to say. Everything is live. So I don't know how to pick. Vera. I also love the running in before, like all the adverts that we shoot, because as you can see on Love Island, like all the adverts were, nearly all of them were brand new and done like show related.
They're
I was
really
in
cool.
many of them last year, so ma nafx.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Maybe the villa entrances, if I have to pick one.
Okay.
Like getting the look together, seeing the final,
And
final everything.
Was
Because
there
there's
ever-
a lot that goes into that as well. The look, the hair, the makeup, the outfit.
Of
People
course, so-
people would be waiting for that. So.
I was going to ask what was it like making the decision to sort of stop being the host of Love Island.
It wasn't an easy one at
And
all.
yeah.
Well, as in, it was a bit easier in the beginning because, like I said on my social media, I was pregnant when I told them that I wasn't going to host, which unfortunately I lost the baby a bit later. But then obviously that's when I had to make the actual decision. Okay, now that I probably can do it, shall I do it or shall I, stick to what I had in mind and in my plans? And I decided to stick to the plan, focus a bit more, on my health and a bit not put myself in stressful situations
Many
like,
of how
like
much
the
back
final.
and forth you had to
Obviously,
decide.
working on Love Island is not stressful. I mean, they're amazing, an amazing team, but there is that
a lot
added,
of pressure,
pressure,
or-
and I want to do well, and I like to do things fully into it, you know, so O'Shea kind of thing.
Exactly.
So I knew that my mind was going to be elsewhere. I have a lot of other work to do anyway, so I said I'll focus on all that and
Fair enough.
stick to what I had in mind. It
Okay.
was something that I had thought about for a long time, even before. So
Okay.
I actually put the baby kind of on hold until I did season 2. So because we had thought about, we had spoken about it before, Keith and I,
It's true.
and we knew that we wanted to start our own family. And I said, but I'll do season 2 because I didn't want to. After season 1, it was amazing not to do season 2.
You had one more season in you.
Exactly, I had to do it. So I said I'll do season 2, and then we'll see what happens. And it happened. I got pregnant, and I had to actually, when I went to a meeting with them, they thought we were going to discuss season 3. Well, I didn't know myself so much. Maybe they were going to change me, or I don't know. And I told them I was going to be due in May, so when the season starts. So
Ilallo.
definitely I wasn't going to be able to do it. She's at that stage. Or from hospital. So, but it wasn't an easy decision at all. Fil-fat, even now, when it's like coming up soon, you know, I second guess it sometimes. I'm like, was it the right decision?
I think
Wasn't
it's
it? But then
normalush.
I tell myself like to stick to my gut. That's kind of what I was feeling. It was my plan. So
You would have put so much thought into that decision-making process that obviously you did the right thing because you put so much thought into that, you put so much care into that. Now, of course, you're going to get split seconds where you think maybe I did the wrong thing, but you're not putting that much thought into it nowadays.
exact.
You know?
And I mean, I know that was my decision. Like it made sense to me, you know, and I think you need to do what's best for you in these situations, especially. So
We thank you for coming on a lot to discuss this topic in particular because obviously it's a very important topic for our followers to understand a little bit better. Of course, we have a lot of young female followers that follow us. Around 55% of our followers are female, actually, and teens and in their 20s. So I'd like for them to be able to understand this topic a little bit more. You do a lot of great work on your social media speaking about it already.
Thank you.
So we thought it was a match made in heaven to bring you on and kind of raise awareness. So I really want to thank you for coming on and speaking so openly about it.
Really
no problem. I
appreciate.
mean, it was something that I knew. Even before I was pregnant, I always said that if something has to happen, I knew that I would speak about it. I'd be open with my family, my friends, and I knew that I would also be open on social media. I mean, people follow my life basically, and this is a big, huge part of my life, at least the past, few months. So it wouldn't have made sense for me not to speak about it. And also, it's such a topic that's not spoken about. A lot of
Yeah.
people go through it alone. Especially
And
the
more
past few
people
months.
than we would think. It's quite common.
So many people go through a miscarriage. I mean, I didn't understand myself before it happened to me, and I got all the messages from people that follow me, people that didn't follow me, that heard about it through news portals or wherever, that also went through it. And actually, when I was receiving message after message after message, it's really kind of put into perspective how normal it actually is. It's a very natural process that your body goes through if the baby is not developing correctly, which is actually tight imnalla. Your body does that. It recognizes that
Your body's looking out for you at the end of the day.
I'm not deflating how difficult it is or how horrible the experience is emotionally and physically, lan ashay, but the fact that I then understood how normal it is, and I was one of many, rather than this only happened to me and I'm so unlucky and it's only happening to me. That helped me a lot in my healing. So I appreciate a lot the women that messaged me, telling me their experiences and also how it ended up positive in the end, that then they had a baby after all, or they had 2 or 3 or 5. Obviously some that had multiple miscarriages, which is something I'm very aware of, that it can happen again. I think now knowing kind of exactly what happens would help a little bit, even though it's not easy
You're
to go
never
through
really
it again.
prepared for something like that. So.
No, actually, and I felt I was very unprepared myself, and I think I'm sure a lot of other women feel the same way, because in reality, we never really learn what a
Check.
miscarriage is. We know
It's true.
that it's okay. You lose your baby at it can be at any different stage throughout the pregnancy, but you don't really understand fully once you're in it.
Even the process about what it involves, etc. I feel like we're not really told. At least I wasn't growing
Not
up. I
at
was
all.
never taught
Fil
about
fatt,
what it involves.
when I went to hospital and they told me that there's no heartbeat and that I'm going to miscarry, mine was a silent miscarriage, so my body hadn't realized yet that
Okay.
that it has to miscarry, basically. So there was no heartbeat, but my body thought I was still pregnant and normally. So, in fact, I had to go back home, and they told me you have to go back home and wait until your body realizes,
So-
basically.
Oh, wow.
And you don't really know how long this takes. I had an appointment in around 10 days after, which if nothing happens, then they can like start it off with some medication. And then the last stage, if that doesn't work, is they do something called the DNC, basically like a rush comment bil-Malti,
Okay.
Okay.
which is like a small operation, kind of. Not really. Would you call it an
A
operation?
procedure, I
Procedure,
guess.
Eżatt, which I didn't do at the end. So then that part I was totally unprepared for. The fact that you have to go home and just,
And just
wait for it to happen.
Was that the hardest part?
It was. I think it was, yes. Especially mentally, because, okay, physically in the first few days, I wasn't really feeling much before like the cramping kind of starts, which lasted around 5 days, so towards the end. But mentally, that part is really tough, because you don't know when it's going to happen. You feel a bit like, okay, what am I going to stay doing? It's like you can't really plan anything. It can happen at any moment. You don't know what's coming. So there's a lot of unknown. You don't know if
Uncertainty
it's going to
and
be very
unknown.
painful, and you're just laying around, going through also all the thought processes of, okay, this is not going to happen. In fact, the first thing I was kind of thinking about when I went home is I was going through all the thoughts that I had throughout those. I was nearly 3 months, so I had known that I'm pregnant for 2 already. And you plan out everything. You plan out everything
Yes,
from the first
so
day, actually. The moment you see that positive pregnancy test,
Yes.
the whole life of this child passes in front of your eyes. I mean, it's incredible how that happens. So I was kind of thinking of each thought I had and kind of deleting
Grieving it
it,
all as well.
basically. And that was tough. And then after around, I think it was like a week of just waiting. And then I started to have some cramping, which kind of increased for around 5 days. You're bleeding throughout as well, throughout this
What was
process.
that like, sort of, even because you mentioned yourself how it was unknown, you weren't really sure about how the pain would be, what would happen. How was the cramping? How did you find out?
So in the beginning, the first few days, when there was nothing, it was totally fine. It's like I knew, but my body didn't know, basically. And then it was kind of like strong period cramps
Okay.
for around 3 days. Sometimes it'd get a bit worse at night. Fil fatt I'd be sleeping and I'd wake up and kind of feel them a bit, a bit harder, kind of. And then around, so the 4th day, they got a bit worse. And I was bleeding throughout this time, but like a period, nothing too crazy. In
Okay.
fact, they tell you, don't come to hospital before you're feeling like a pad every hour,
Okay.
which is like more than a period, basically. So you're kind of monitoring this. And also, a part which was, I think, one of the horrible parts of it is that they give you a container and they tell you, like, if it comes out, whatever
Yes,
comes
yeah.
out, bring it to us. In fact, that's something that my husband found really shocking when they told us. He looked at them and he was like, that's horrible. And I told him, yes, I mean, this is
heartbreaking.
not going to be nice to do, obviously. So I used to, keep this container all the time around me. I didn't know what I was looking for. I didn't know how it's going to look. But anyway, I couldn't really miss it then when it actually happened, because since I was around 3 months, it wasn't something so small. But it's not always the same. Sometimes it's just It's just products coming out, like, or like a blood clot kind of thing. But there was a lot of unknown. I was trying to speak to anyone that I knew that went through it, but it was also a different experience. It is a bit of a different experience for everyone. But some things are similar, so that was kind of helping me.
And even just knowing that, again, you're not the only one going through it and you're feeling the same sort of feelings.
Exactly that. Then one of the nights I woke up at around 4 a.m., some early morning, so with much worse cramps, like unbearable cramps. And I said, okay, I think now, and I was bleeding much more as well. So I said, I think now we should go. Keith got me to hospital. And in fact, when I arrived at the emergency, I went to the bathroom just to see, because I was feeling I was bleeding a lot. And that's when I miscarried naturally, basically. It's they say that it's very similar to contractions of birth, because your body is kind of birthing the pregnancy, basically. So that part is similar. And then, I'm not gonna lie, I felt a bit of relief at that point. I mean, obviously,
it's not
if you were waiting for around 10 days or however
yes,
long it was.
I think the waiting was much worse for
mentally
me.
it takes such a toll.
And at least I was at hospital, so I was, I felt safe at hospital, and they really take care of you, obviously, and I mean, the workers there are amazing. They kept me there overnight because they still gave me the medication, because they wanted me to keep shedding, basically, the lining. It was a bit too thick still. I stayed there overnight. The medication wasn't great. I mean, it gives you a fever or but has to be done. Basically, it helps to like contract everything, so you keep
must be a bit painful,
releasing
imagine,
anything. I mean, it's not
nice.
It's not fun, obviously. But then in the morning, I had an ultrasound. They said that my lining was thinner and looked better. We went home. And then you kind of start your life after it.
But it's like, how do you even do that? You're still...
I know. But
talk us through that. What were the emotions like in the aftermath?
After, it's a lot of emotions. In fact, it's very up and down, actually. And I still feel like that now. And now it's been over 3 months. So I feel like I have some good days and I have some really bad days. In fact, I booked therapy on Monday, which I would definitely suggest to everyone. I mean, I've been to therapy before whenever I needed it, so I was always one to say and to tell people, listen, even friends, whenever they're going through something, listen, book a session. So I'm kind of looking forward to that, because I think it will help me. I keep saying, like, am I okay? Do I need it? And then, you know what?
If you're doubting it, just book it.
I was saying, I'm not going... it can only help me. So, and I can't say that I'm 100% okay, because, I mean, it's still something that I really
comes
want.
In waves.
So, and it's something that I'm still grieving.
Absolutely.
From 3 months ago. But I have very up and down. So... literally like a roller coaster. Sometimes you think like, okay, now it's done. Now we can focus on the future. Thank God, I feel like Keith and I are very positive people, so I think that's helped a lot.
And it seems like you're quite very well supported by Keith.
Yes, thank God. And my mom, of course, my family and my friends.
You mentioned your nana to us earlier as well.
Yes, and my nana also had a miscarriage many years ago. So speaking to her about it was really nice as well. In fact, I feel like there was no age gap between us, basically, whilst we were both speaking about this, and she remembers literally everything, all the dates and all the how many weeks and how many weeks after, and when she got her next period and everything. Like she remembers everything. So that was nice as well. And then I feel like when I posted about it on social media, and I was then speaking to so many other people, that was very good for me as well. Filfat, a lot of people were speaking to me and saying like, thanks for speaking out, because it's really important that we speak about this. But I was telling them, Ansi, thank you, Intom, because
it's a win-win in a sense.
They really helped me as well, because that's when I realized, one, how normal it is, and how my experience was just like many other women, that what I was feeling is very valid also. Because I think, and this is not only in a miscarriage scenario, I feel like even when you're planning a pregnancy or during pregnancy or after, especially for the woman, there are a lot of thoughts that when you're alone with your thoughts, they kind of feel a bit, they can feel a bit crazy, or like that they don't
I
make
feel like
sense.
there's a tough time, a lot of people, myself included, to validate your own emotions. And it's like, until you speak to people, that's why speaking to people is so
Literally.
nice. When they tell you, I can imagine, I can
Exactly.
understand,
You feel
and your
seen.
feelings are valid. It's like, lalo, okay, so these are normal emotions to feel, just
Exact.
like anyone else.
Exactly. When you realize that, it helps a lot. Sometimes even I'll just be scrolling on Instagram or TikTok and something comes up which is like related, and the person speaking would be saying exactly how I'm feeling. And okay.
That's the beauty of
So
social
I'm not
media.
crazy actually, you know. So that's really good to know as well. And even not miscarriage related, even when you're trying to get pregnant, for example, the 2-week wait, when you're just waiting, the thoughts that come into your
What
head.
was that process like for you? Because I feel like we
That's
kind of
quite-
skipped to the
Yes,
miscarriage.
exactly. Actually, that part was actually very fast. So it was our first month of trying,
Istra.
actually.
Alla jbirek.
I mean, obviously, it didn't turn out in the end sticking, but I had actually, when I was in it, the 2-week wait between when you ovulate and when you find out if you're pregnant or not is also something that's really not spoken about. And I've spoken about this to a few of my friends now, and some other people on social media that are trying to get pregnant, and they also agree. For some reason, we don't mention how mentally stressful or draining that wait can be. You're seeing if you have any symptoms, you're thinking about things, you're feeling everything, maybe that isn't there.
Maybe you're overthinking what you're feeling.
You overthink
as well.
a lot. It's like, honestly, I'm not such an overthinker, and I'm also not, I'm very chill, I'm very like go with the flow. But in this process, no, I really surprised myself actually. Fil-fatt, when I used to speak to friends that haven't been through it yet, and they'd be like, normal things like, don't worry, it will happen, just enjoy it or whatever, enjoy your time with Keith right now, it's like your last time alone. And they would be people who are more overthinkers than me, and be like, you wait and see until it's your turn to do this, because this is not like a very easy thing mentally, especially. And as much as, okay, the men go through it, but it's very different for the women. So that's what I explain to Keith sometimes, is when he's so supportive and he's always with me, and even through the miscarriage of egg. But I used to tell him, at the end of the day, it's still, when I go to the bathroom or whatever, when I'm seeing what's happening, it's still me and my body, you know?
Check.
And it's also me and my thoughts. So
And
I
your
think that it's
feeling.
a very different experience between the man and the woman. But I also think that what they go through is also not spoken about much, because that's not...
Because there's a lot of pressure there, and there's a lot of unknown but from their ends.
And also, when it comes to the miscarriage, it's horrible to see your partner go
Mushek,
through that.
mushek.
I'm sure that that's very
So
tough.
how
And
do you
I'm
even
sure that they are
support?
trying to stay tough for us.
But it's
cool.
not easy
And
for
in
them
fact,
either.
In fact, they're also going through it themselves. They also lost
They're
their
also
baby,
grieving their
obviously.
baby.
And also seeing their partner going through a traumatic physical and mental experience,
very difficult.
which is tough. In fact, after the miscarriage was over, so the first 2 weeks, okay, I mean, they weren't great. I wasn't very great, obviously, as you can imagine.
Of course.
But we were just, staying home, taking care of ourselves, the work. It was super supportive. And then I remember he used to tell me, I used to ask him, how are you? Like, tell me how you're feeling. I don't want you to keep it in. And he used to tell me, no, it's okay. When I just need you to be okay. When you're okay,
Yes.
How sweet
then
is
I'll
that?
feel better.
Was that
So I
good?
remember saying, it was like a Monday, it was like a fresh week. I'm like, okay, so this week I need to get up on my feet and I need to be okay. For Keith as well, so that he can relax a bit, kind of. And that was the moment that he broke down.
Eeuw.
So he saw that I was
think he was
okay, so I
focused on
wasn't
you.
relying on him 100% for everything. And then that's when he broke down. He could kind of let go at that
Exact.
moment, because he saw that I could like stand on my own feet, kind of. And then that's when he had his like emotional crash.
It sounds like you have really good communication and
Spontaneity,
compatibility together, huh? Because
Thank
these
you.
these situations, a lot of the time, unfortunately, they do tend to lead to breakups as well because of the amount of
No, for
stress
sure
that is related.
it can put a lot
to
of pressure on the relationship. In fact, a lot of people had mentioned this. They were like, take care of each other because it's through these times that, you know, it can be very easy to tick someone off or do the wrong thing or whatever. But no, I think if anything, it brought us so much closer.
You're
very
If
lucky
it was
to have
even,
each other.
if it was
Because you
very, if it
communicate
was
well,
possible.
no.
But yes, communication is the most important thing in everything, not just in this
Mushak.
thing. And I feel like Keith and I have learned throughout the years to communicate much better.
If I'm 8 years, you told us, so you've been
Yes,
together,
yes,
so
nearly
2 years
8
married.
years.
So
Yes.
it makes sense. You're learning a lot about each other, and this instance, as traumatic as it is, tragedy does make people closer. When
Yes,
you go
for
through
sure.
something together, and you mentioned like the struggle that you went through together, but also the individual battles that you were facing and coping with those things, all of those different fragments together, you get to learn so much about each other and so much
course.
about each other's coping mechanisms to see that side of
Definitely.
each other. So probably you guys are closer than you've ever been since the experience.
Yes, 100%. I do feel that. And I also make sure that I try and somewhat to make sure to lead with that as well in the future. And if, because obviously I don't know how long it's going to take us to have a baby now. I mean, it happened the first time last time, but I also have PCOS and I'm also fixing my thyroid at the moment. So
Okay.
usually when, I mean, a lot of women suffer with PCOS. And that usually can affect getting pregnant or how easy it is to
Okay.
get pregnant.
And PCOS, can you define that,
So
please?
it's polycystic ovarian syndrome,
Okay.
basically.
Okay.
And it can mean that you might not ovulate every month.
It's
I
also
see.
quite common.
It is,
PCOS.
yes,
a
very
lot of
common.
women
So
have
that's
PCOS.
what it
It's
is,
very
because I
common.
know certain women that don't ovulate regularly, so
Yes,
that's what it is.
Exato. I actually just found out that I had it now after
Okay.
the miscarriage. I didn't know I had it before.
Yeah.
I was on the pill for many years as well, so that can help to mask it
Okay.
as well. So يستيقون لها بفك. And recently I did some blood tests and I had they found that I have low thyroid as well.
Okay.
A slow thyroid. So I'm fixing that at the moment. And then
Pass. So
we'll see what happens. But I'm trying to mentally prepare myself not to put pressure on myself. I know it happened straight away last time. It cannot happen the same way this
and
time.
just take it day
Mushak.
by day. Be there for each other.
Exact. But I also understand that it's much easier said than done. And this is why it's
Exact. Of
nice to
course.
speak to people who are going through
Yes,
the same
definitely.
the same situation, because it's so easy to everybody tells you don't think about it, because when you think about it it doesn't happen. It's
Kif
very
tista'
hard.
tikkontrolla fuq xiex taħseb. I wish it was that
It's-
easy.
Yeah. It's the classic don't think of an elephant like you're gonna
Literally.
think of an elephant.
Literally. But I feel like I found this amazing community, like a sub community in my Instagram community of women that are either went through a miscarriage or are trying to conceive or going through IVF. So it's nice that now we can chat internally about that actually.
Before, I know you mentioned that you knew that you wanted to post about it sort of from the get-go, but did you also feel the pressure? Because not everyone is super vocal on their social media, even other influencers, not everyone is fully transparent, which I also understand because some people want to leave some
Yeah,
things
definitely.
private. So I just wanted to ask what that pressure felt like, even deciding when to post about it. How was that?
Alright, I'll be very honest. I'm a very open book and very open on my socials. So actually, the pressure I felt was when they didn't know. If that makes sense. So
Okay.
Filfat, I had posted a story saying that we're going through some things at the moment. Just that, basically, not saying what we're going through. There were some people that realized, especially the women that had gone through it. They realized straight away. And maybe also given like us now being married for 2 years, maybe people kind of يعملون a 1+1 kind of.
Check.
Even though you never know. And then it was like during that time that I don't like not being open on my on my social media because I feel like I'm like lying to my friends, kind of not
yes, I
lying,
get
but
what
like
you
I'm
mean.
like withdrawing very important
Check.
information and feelings that I'm going through, like the experience that I'm going through with friends. I'm the same in my real life, ġifiri. I mean, I tell my friends and family literally everything. So no, I felt no pressure about actually posting. It was actually more hard for me during that middle period when I hadn't actually said
Okay.
what's happening.
And had you announced your
that's me.
pregnancy initially?
No, I hadn't.
You hadn't?
No,
Okay,
no.
so you kind of didn't
Announced
have to
both at once.
announce the
No, I didn't have
miscarriage
to.
either.
I didn't want to. No, I hadn't announced yet.
Okay, because that would be tricky, because if you announce pregnancy and then something happens, it's
Definitely.
almost like, because if your followers are messaging you about the pregnancy wreck, it could
can be
be
awful.
heartbreaking. Oh.
Yes. Fil-fatt with the post when I posted about the miscarriage, I also added like the video of us finding out and stuff, because
Yes,
that was
I remember
also
seeing it.
those were the nice moments that came in those months, and those weren't nothing. They were a very special part of our life and our
Sure.
journey, whatever and how long this journey will end up being. So I wanted to also celebrate that in the
yes,
moment.
for sure. And
But
I
there were
think you
some
did
people
well.
that saw just that and thought that I'm announcing my pregnancy as well. So
Yeah.
I had to then unfortunately explain to them,
Yeah,
but
ouch.
somehow these things they end up a bit tough. But
It can be a bit tricky sometimes, at imagine.
but I feel like when I spoke about it publicly, it helped me a lot. So apart
helped
from
you sort of
a lot of
close the
people saying that it
chapter a
helped
bit.
them, kind of, it was very helpful for me a lot, especially feeling that love and the support from people who follow my life, basically.
And you mentioned there was a period in between, of course, when you found out you had a miscarriage, and also when you posted about it. What was it like, even telling your family? What was that journey like?
So I told them straight away when we came back from hospital, when they told me, so before the actual miscarriage had happened, but when they told me that I have a silent miscarriage and I'm going to miscarry,
Okay.
basically. I did it straight away on that day. I called or messaged anyone who knew. There were a few people who knew, because as you can see, I'm not one to keep secrets.
I'd be
So-
the same, Madonna.
I knew I was never going to do that. I could never keep my mouth shut for 3 months. And I'm happy
Especially
I'm
something
happy I
big like
didn't.
that.
I'm happy I did it, because some people tell me, like, do you regret saying, like, or telling your closest? But no, because I think that the second time round, it might not be exactly the same excitement. Maybe it's going to come with a bit more hindrance, kind of. So I think having that moment and telling my friends and family with no worry at all, but kind of with without all that underlying thoughts, and it's just pure excitement. I think that's something that I won't get back, Keiko. I just wrote a few template messages, basically. I sent them out to whoever knew, because I wanted them to know and to get that out of the way, basically. And then also so that they can be there for me and support me in any way that I needed, which was the most important thing at that point in time.
And in that support you received, if you had to give a recommendation to people when they're showing support to someone who's going through a miscarriage, what would you recommend?
That's a great
Like,
question.
what's the best
actually.
kind of support you've received?
I think it would be if someone is going through it or went through it and they want to share their experience. I think that really helped me. Obviously, not everyone is going to feel the same way. Some people are not going to want to hear about anything, and some people are just going to want to grieve alone, obviously. But if you're like me and you like the support and it helps you a lot, sharing your experiences, maybe Anka giving like the positive outcome of their experience, so that like the don't give up. Then I also had my baby, she's 2, she's amazing. It was, and maybe also them understanding you, asking if they need anything, obviously. Maybe the extra, try not to think about it, naqra zejda at that point in time.
I get you. Yeah, so that have the best intentions in mind.
Eżatt. And maybe not too many questions. Maybe let the person going through it like open up. Unless
Sorry
you're
for all
super
the
close,
questions.
no, it's fine now. Just to tread a bit lightly. But basically, I think the most important thing is to let that person know that you're there. So if whatever they need, they can reach out. And most importantly, I think this, like, experience sharing helped a lot.
The light at the end of the tunnel, and that
And
everything
that's
will be
helped a lot
okay.
as well,
But it
exact.
helps you zoom out, I guess, because at the end of the day, life is long. I know people say life is short, ma it's bloody long.
The longest thing we have.
Oh, vera. So this is very much a part of your life now. Of course, it's gonna be there and it's gonna be on your mind for the majority of your life. But it's one period, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Like you said, there are some health issues right now which allow you to focus on you, and to give yourself the best mental health care and the best physical health care that you possibly can. And then when the time comes, you could look forward to obviously taking that next step, and it will be exciting, and you would have looked after yourself, and you can start looking forward and enjoying that journey. Ma ovvjament kollox pass, you're doing your best, clearly.
Yes. I mean, we try.
Cool.
That's the only thing you can do. And I think it's also important to remember to sit with your emotions. So I try to
And take
let
it easy on
myself, you know,
yourself.
if today
Feel
I'm
the
having
sadness.
if I'm having a bad day and I want to cry, I just do it, you know. I know that some things have to be done and work has to continue and whatever, but especially if we're going through something like a miscarriage, take all the time you need. For a lot of people told me that as well, because I'm quite a hands-on person that doesn't really know how to stop. And I focus a lot on work also to keep my mind off things. And for a lot of people said, like, take your time, don't feel pressured, like, to continue working, whatever. If you need to move things around, if you need to cancel something, just do it. So that was important for me to hear as well, because you can easily just try to get back into your normal routine, and in fact nothing is normal about right after a miscarriage. Your body is not feeling normal, and neither is your mind. So
And the thing is, nothing stops for you. That's the shitty part. Like when I've been through something, and then like, tipo, okay, għada xogħol. Like, let's say even jaħasra when you're going through a breakup or you have a fight with your partner, it's tough.
Life
Aħsab wara.
continues. It
Like,
doesn't stop for you.
losing someone, tipo, okay, there's bereavement leave, for example.
But
Imma like how long is that? If you work like most
A day,
people,
I
which
think.
is if you, and it needs to be an immediate family member.
course.
Tate, if you work like most people 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and you don't like make up your own hours and choose when to work and how to work. Not saying it's not that it's easy for those people. Imma when you have to say, għada xogħol, and there's nothing I can do about it, it's devastating. You don't really have time to sit down and process
it
it.
can be very difficult, but it's very important to make sure you make that time for yourself as well. And I think it's also important to accept the fact that it comes in waves. I feel like with a lot of things, people tend to sort of have a bad week, then they have 3 days where they're doing fine, and they expect
Eżatt.
That
to
it's
be
over.
over. When in
Eżatt.
reality,
No,
you're still going to have bad days, and that's okay. You shouldn't
hekk.
beat yourself
Exactly.
up for it. It's normal. Just
hekk.
feel your emotions, as you said.
Eżatt.
Literally.
Look at
I try my best to
processing,
do
go.
that, and I tell Keith to do the same, because he's one that keeps things in a bit more than me. I'm a bit more like vocal about things, okay? So I make sure, one, I check in on him just to make sure that he's telling me if he's feeling something. And I tell him, like, if you're feeling down, just don't worry, like, stay on the sofa. Don't worry, you don't need to do much tonight.
down.
You don't need to cook. We'll get takeout, no problem. Relax. And you feel it, you know.
Eżatt.
Might as well. You're
If
not.
you
You're not
don't
gonna feel okay
process
every day.
it- If you don't process it, it's gonna come out in a year or two.
Literally.
If you would have processed it, it would be at least easier by then. No.
Literally. No, so that's important. So I try my best to do that. Yes, some days you have to like cry in the bathroom and get cracking, but it's just part of it, you know. But when I can, I try my best to give myself that time and to go a bit easy
Yeah.
on myself. So I think that's important for
Definitely.
people to do as well, because it's easy to just think that you have to be tough all the time,
Jack.
and in reality it's a very normal thing that you're going to feel emotional, especially going through something like this, or if you're trying to conceive, or through anything else that you're going through in summer. And like you said, it's very up and down. So
That's
to
the
just
reality of it all.
understand it and just accept that that's the way it is, basically. But it's the way it is for everyone, so
Yeah.
it's not
Thank you
definitely
so
no one's
much
alone.
for being so open about it, though, because it's crazy how common it is, but it's even crazier how not many people talk about it.
Yes,
So it's
in fact, that was my main thought behind sharing it and also doing stuff like this, like podcasts and or any interviews or answering messages when people ask me stuff.
it takes a lot of strength as well, because you
Ħafna.
need to be able to support yourself really well. So I hope you're so proud of yourself.
Thank
in
you.
that
I
sense.
appreciate.
be.
I mean, at least I always say that if it's gonna help one person, it's worth sharing,
Mhux hekk, ekku.
and I feel that it has. So then that's good. That's
But
good
Tara,
enough
it's
for
helped
me, you
people
know.
and it's helped you as well.
No,
Like you
it's
said,
helped
so
me.
many people.
It's helped me a lot to speak about it, definitely. So yes, it's important. I think dealing with it alone is very tough. I can't imagine how people would. And I know that a lot of people do deal with it
Unfortunately,
alone. Because a lot of people wouldn't have told people that they're pregnant, so then they don't want to tell them that they've miscarried. So I can't imagine how to do that, actually, because that must be really tough.
How has it changed your perspective on like pregnancy and motherhood in particular?
I mean, I think I feel like maybe I want it even more now, more than ever, kind of, because getting a bit of a taste of it and then having it taken away is tough. But I also try to think that everything happens for a reason, so I try to say, as much as tough days come along, I try to enjoy this time with Keith and I. Sometimes that's what I think. I think about, I might look back later when we have a kid and say, Ilami, I didn't enjoy those last few months when it was
regardless
just
of what
us, you know?
happens.
The same in many different situations, not just this one. So I try to keep that mindset. I feel like I learned a lot from people as well. So that's also always nice, you know. The more knowledge we know, the better. But we'll see. Actual motherhood, ma nafux, because I haven't experienced it yet. But we'll see how it goes.
Eżatt.
Thank you so much, Yas.
Thank you.
Thank you, yes.